So before I do this video, I want you guys to know I'm going to be talking about some sensitive subjects. So if you don't want to hear anything about homoerotic fan service in K-pop, I'm letting you know now, this is what this video is about. So you can turn it off if it's not your thing. But if you don't mind having a discussion about these subjects, then please keep on watching. So this video was prompted by a couple of things. First, it was prompted by a conversation I had with my friends on Google+, and it was also prompted by an article I read on allkpop.com. And the article was about homoerotic fan service in K-pop. And the article was really poorly written, like grammatically just bad. But it brought up some good points, and I brought up those points with my friends on the Google Hangout, and we discussed things. And after the discussion, like, you know, this is a discussion that really needs to be had in general. So that's why I'm bringing it up here. So, homoerotic fan service. If you don't know what homoerotic fan service is, it is kind of steamy fan service having to do with two people of the same gender, basically. So, not just like the cute little back hugs or, you know, holding hands, but some of the, you know, really face-to-face breathing each other's oxygen type stuff, and, you know, some of the, you know, getting drenched in rain and hugging each other with your sweaty clothes on. And a prime example would be Internet Wars from SHINee. That would be a prime example of homoerotic fan service. But, I mean, I've been in K-pop now, or into K-pop since 2012, and I can tell you it's not a new thing. It's something that has always been in K-pop. It's always been since I first got into K-pop, and it's something that is still going on even today. For an example, last week, IMFACT, the new boy band group, whatever, the new boy band from Star Empire, they had their video for Lollipop, and there's a moment in there with some homoerotic fan service. So it's something that definitely permeates the culture and has been there since even before I got into K-pop. Another prime example is Shinhwa's photo book Wild, which, just to warn you, a lot of things I'm talking about are not suitable for work. If you type in Shinhwa Wild and your parents are around, you might get some really awkward questions from them, but I'm mentioning it. Anyway, it's been around since the Shinhwa days. Like, it's just always been there. And it's really funny to me because I know a lot of fans, both girl and boy, depending on their preferences, really dig that kind of thing. Like, it's something about watching two good-looking people get up close with each other but never quite take it there that people are like, ooh, feel that tension, that sensual tension. But it's funny because one of the things the article brings up is that if you were to try to legitimately accuse a member of a group of being a homosexual, of course fans would be up in arms like, no, not my oppa, not my nuna, not my uni, you are mistaken, take that back, don't ever say anything like that about my favorites, I will cut you. And it's funny to me because, like, these same people that say this kind of stuff are the same ones who are on Asian fanfics reading yaoi stories about OTPs like Baekhyul and Jungkook and Kaisu and just any group you can name. There's like 5 or 6 different OTPs in those groups, maybe more depending on how many members are in this group. And so that was one thing the article brought up, and it is funny to me. It is funny to me. It's funny to me how people claim that what they're embracing is a friendship, even though the stories I read go well beyond friendship into something else. But, like, really taken into consideration if an artist was actually gay, that is like a no-go. Don't have that conversation. I don't want to hear it. It can't be true. So that's funny. The other funny thing is the kind of the origin of why there is fan service. And a lot of people, I don't think they think about why would this become such a big part of the K-pop culture when homosexuality itself is such a taboo topic in Korean society. And I think the reason why is because of you guys, the fans. Let's say that your OTP is Baekhyun and Chanyeol forever, and you heard the news about Baekhyun and Taeyeon dating when it first came out, and you're like, oh, no, not my favorite, never, he would never do this to me, he would never do this to Chanyeol, oh my gosh. Well, those kind of reactions right there are the reason why fan service was invented. People don't want their idols to be human. That's why they're called idols. The word idol itself brings to mind ideas of worship. You know, I'm not saying that people are praying to K-pop idols, but more like they put them on a plane above natural people. And the problem is when you do that and you don't expect them to date or whatever else, well, in order to kind of excuse singing songs about romance and love and the like, they have to give the fangirls something. And if they can't do it with a female idol, or they can't do it with their own girlfriends or with the girls in the video, then you're going to get it on stage between members. And that's really where it comes from. It comes from fans not wanting to see their idols have real legitimate relationships, but instead these make-believe romantic bromance type things. And it's really funny to me that like this is a trap of your own design. You guys caused this to happen. So, I mean, that's one thing. The other thing that the article brought about that I thought was really funny is they were talking about how this kind of fan service disrespects homosexual people. And I am not a gay woman, so I don't know anything about, you know, whether or not they would feel disrespected. But from a standpoint of someone who's spent time with people of the LGBT community for several decades now, I can tell you I've never seen it as being disrespectful in terms of like them picking on gay people or making fun of gay people or making it seem like gay people are weird. More what I guess would seem disrespectful, and what the author brings up, is the fact that it only focuses on the intimate relationship of gay relationships and not on the maybe social aspects or the romantic aspects. And then what they find problematic, which I could see it, is when you have members of groups like Siwon from Super Junior, who is extremely, you know, right-wing Christian devout, and he's doing fan service where he's soaking wet, rubbing against another member of his group, but according to his, you know, self-professed beliefs, he is against these kinds of relationships in society. And I could see where that would be problematic as well, because you're thinking, well, you're pretending to be this way, but you're saying that in real life you're against it. Well, where do your moral codes lie? You either have to be against it or for it. But, you know, part of fan service is the word service. This is a job for these idols. They do this for you. Again, the fans, you guys demand this. You guys like those moments of, you know, sneaky caresses and long stares and breathing in each other's space. And this is what you want. You look forward to it. If your idols don't do this with each other, you guys like, well, they act like they don't like each other, you know? And so I don't think that Siwon does this because he's in the closet or anything like that. I really do think it's a part of his job, and he feels like if I don't have these feelings, then what I'm doing is acting. I am a performer and I'm giving a performance, and it has nothing to do with maybe my personal boundaries. But, you know, I could see where people would say, you know, how can you pretend to be one way on stage but then condemn it on another platform? So, I mean, that is something to think about, definitely. But then the other thought that I had after that was, you know, fan service aside, when it comes to K-pop, if we had an idol that really was gay, how would that frame fan service like this? How would that change homoerotic fan service? Would it completely stop? Would it be that people would say, well, that person is an anomaly, but there's nothing wrong with this kind of fan service? And I wonder about that. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Over the years, there have been a lot of idols that have been accused of being homosexual, that haven't ever come out and said anything about it, have never made any statements about it, and it is and will always be their personal business. But if any of the ones that we've accused were to come out and say, I am a homosexual person and this is my life and it is what it is, would that put an end to this kind of fan service? And on the one hand, I think this kind of fan service would probably come to an end in terms of the intensity of it. I think you'll still have, you know, hand-holding and hugs and, you know, horseplay and that kind of stuff, I think that will still always be there. But some of the maybe intenser moments of fan service, those would probably end. Like, those would probably be gone. And a lot of times, the most intense fan service has to do with members that people aren't ever accusing of being gay. You know, Shiwon has been involved in some really intense fan service over the years for Super Junior, but people don't accuse him of being gay. Whereas Key, he doesn't really get involved with a lot of fan service. Key from SHINee, even though he is the member that most people pick on and say he's the gay one. And I'm not going to make any judgments about who Key is or what he is until he says it. That's his business as far as I'm concerned. But I will say, you know, the ones who are kind of the most borderline, those are the ones that don't engage. Whereas the ones that people feel are the most secure in their masculinity, they tend to be the ones that engage in this level of fan service. So I think it's a discussion for fans to have. It's something to consider, kind of this whole dichotomy of thought, where you're for the fan service but against real life homosexuality. How you don't want your idols to be involved in real relationships, so you create these fake OTPs, but then if somebody was to say these OTPs are real, you don't want to hear that either, you know. So I mean, the only thing that I would say would probably stop homoerotic fan service would be if we would let our idols have women on the stage if they're men, or men on the stage if they're women, and allow them to have interaction with these people. So if you had SHINee on stage and they wanted to have, you know, an intense kind of sexually tension moment, let a woman come on stage and let them, you know, grind on her and kiss on, well, not kiss, because I don't think any of us want to see that, but, you know, grind on her and get in her face and maybe stroke down her side, you know, do something like that. I think that would be the way to put an end to that. But then you have to ask yourself too, let's say that we do invite females on stage for the idols to interact with, to put an end to the homoerotic fan service. If you have an idol who is not straight and they have to engage in that kind of fan service, you know, are we putting them in a bad position? So should there just be no fan service at all? Because think about it, there might be some members of these groups, in fact I'm almost certain there's probably some members of some of these groups who are in the closet, and if they had to provide fan service with somebody of the opposite sex, they would be pretending and they would be playing a role that's not really who they are. So, I mean, it's really a catch-22 in a lot of ways, because it's something that the audience has demanded, and it's a type of service that the audience really has designed. That's why it is fan service. It is what the fans are asking for. It is what they want. And the idol's job is to provide you with entertainment value. And if this is the kind of entertainment you demand, this is what they're going to give you. But yeah, I mean, I'm very interested to know your opinions on this, because I feel like it's something that, you know, because it is a sensitive topic, not a lot of us want to talk about. And we all have our own opinions of, you know, what is and isn't right, what our own moral codes are. But I mean, this is a conundrum, and it is something that, you know, in a lot of ways doesn't make sense. It definitely is something that you don't see a lot of in America. And I don't see a lot of it in European music either, of idols. Well, I won't even say idols. I'll call them stars, because we don't use the term idols in America. But I don't see a lot of like mainstream musical stars, you know, especially in any kind of group, even though, you know, we don't have a lot of groups in America either. But okay, let's take One Direction. You don't see One Direction on stage like in each other's faces, breathing heavy and rubbing each other's chest down. Like, that's not something that Western audiences really ask for. But then again, with Western idols, they do a lot of stuff off stage that would never be acceptable in Korea. Like, one of the guys in One Direction just had a baby with some girl that he's not even with anymore. So, like, that could not go down in Korea at all. A lot of them, you know, have dating scandals, and it's not even the scandal, the fact that they are dating somebody. In Western culture, the scandal is when you're dating somebody and you knocked up their best friend, or you beat them up on a date, you're caught sleeping with their cousin's mother's dog handlers, some stuff like that. Like, that's the kind of scandals we have in Western music. So we're not any better. Not at all. But each country has its own audience demands. And this is an audience demand. And I'm not Korean, so I can't say, you know, if it's something that could ever be changed, because I'm not a member of the Korean audience for K-pop. I am a member of the international fan audience. And for me, I don't have to have this kind of fan service. It doesn't change my mind one way or another about the groups I like, because I really am here for their music. If Internet Wars for SHINee had never existed, it wouldn't change my opinion about SHINee. I was never into SHINee for the fan service. I was into SHINee for the music and for the variety and for Choi Minho all alone on a stage, body rolling the hell out of the music. Oh my gosh. Like, just him alone. Like, that is the kind of fan service I'm looking for, is a half-naked Choi Minho dancing like he wants to earn my dollars. That's the fan service that I want. But, you know, let me know what you guys think. I'd be interested to hear it. And thank you for watching one of my more controversial discussion videos. Man, I can't stay away from the naughty topics. Something's wrong with me. We won't even talk about my history as a fan fiction writer. Talk to you guys later. Bye.